gender have not evolved. This is a quote by a Nigerian novelist and feminist activist, Chimamanda Adichie. So we have had many gains towards gender equality, but there is still room for change. Women are less likely to achieve positions that men are typically seen in, and men vice versa. In the in this picture here, you can see the higher you go up the pyramid, the less women take up positions. And this is a norm for, it's a global norm, and that men are typically dominant in these high earning positions, and that do not accurately represent the 52% of women. In these type of positions, what is valued is creativity, intelligence, and innovativeness, which all genders are capable of being. However, that is not reflected on research that has been done. In a TED Talk by Iris Bonet, she spoke about the symphony orchestra in the 1970s. In the 1970s, only 8% of female musicians made up the orchestra, and the director saw this as a need for change, so they decided to use screens to be part of the audition process, and in the result, female musicians went up 50%, and today 40% of female musicians make up symphony orchestras. I believe this is a great example to show that it is our internalized gender biases that really keep us from getting toward a level that is gender equality. And it also shows us that men can also be feminists, and that they do play a critical role in reaching gender equality. And I believe feminism is innovative in its ways to work to reach that goal. So my name is Siklali, and my first introduction into women's studies was SMC. Women's studies was Women in Cinema, which was a class in which throughout I had the pleasure of watching Oscar-winning films about female leads, and also explore nuances and hidden messages in relevance to gender and sexism. And it changed how I saw society, and also solidified where I stood within feminism. I will talk about 3 points that define feminism to me. The first is feminism is the acceptance of all people. The second is feminism confronts gender discrimination. The third, feminism works towards gender equality. So feminism for women of color is very different. It takes into account these aspects, which is race, class, sexuality, and gender. They're complex because of these different aspects. Between the first and second wave of feminism, it was generally thought of as a white woman's movement, and it was until Florence Kennedy was one of the first African-American women to really merge feminism and the Black Power movement together, which led to the growth and all-inclusive way in which feminism transformed and embraced intersectionality. And intersectionality is important to feminism because it enlightens how patriarchal notions are embedded deeper in other nations, and also takes into account gendered racism, which is an issue feminism considers and investigates. So we live in a world where patriarchy is prevalent, and feminism works to educate about its inefficiency. This is a structure in which we unconsciously think about men and women and how they should act. In an article by Schwartz and Edwin defined the principle of patriarchy as that male nature characterizes full humanity, that men are central, the core around which all others revolve. So sexism is a key value. So patriarchy makes it very restrictive, as men have to prove their masculinity. And as Chimamanda Adichie put it in her TED Talk, Men are raised to be afraid of fear, weakness, vulnerability, and most of all afraid to be themselves. So feminism preaches changing stereotypical sexist language, and also it works on demanding a level playing field for women in the media by having progressive female role models that counter stereotypical roles. If we can see it, then we can believe it. So gender equality means we can focus on individual interests and abilities, not just gender. And to recap, feminism means accepting all people, confronting sexual discrimination, and also